Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week we've got shiny wheels, hour record tech, a bike for auction,
Plus, a visit to the bike vault.
oh yeah.
What's hot in tech this week?
Well, firstly, Giant have launched a new version of the Defy, and that new model is set to have better compliance, therefore giving you a better quality of ride.
But what's new about it, I hear you ask? Well, quite a lot actually. So, firstly, the new model is exclusively disc brake, which is quite an interesting thing to see. And also, it continues to make use of Giant's D-shaped tube. So, for a while now, since 2015, the Giant Defy has featured a D-shaped seat post for improved compliance. This is something that Giant call D-fuse.
Oh,
Get it? And this is also a feature we've seen on several other bikes as well. So the Specialized Tarmac has it, the BMC Team Machine and Road Machine both have a D-shaped seat post. And the way it works is that by having a flattened edge to the cross section, it's able to flex and bend slightly in that direction, giving you a bit more comfort.
And apparently they've also integrated that into the handlebars too, haven't they? So it gives you better compliance downwards and also a bit stiffer when you're sprinting. So I think that's a nice little addition. And they've also taken that stem, haven't they, from the propel, I think.
Yeah, so Giant has taken the stem sort of design and technology it's put into the propel and now applied that into the Defy. So that bulky looking stem you can see at the front of the bike, that actually features a plastic cover which can be removable and under which is housed the hydraulic lines and cables. So it creates quite a neat look at the front of the bike, and it's also a bit aero as well.
Yeah, we do like neat and aero. That's two things that are great. Now, as well as obviously it looking great, these bikes are actually designed to accommodate up to a 32mm wide tyre, which is pretty big, isn't it, if you think about it?
Yeah, a lot of versatility.
Yeah, and in doing so, they've had to actually drop the bottom bracket by 5mm, which doesn't sound a lot, but well, it kind of is, isn't it? Especially when you look at millimetre sort of increments in bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's quite significant. It'd be interesting to see what the impact on handling that is, but yeah.
Who knows?
John, you love water sports, right?
Oh, I absolutely love them. Love them.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to combine your passions of cycling and water sports if this invention on the crowdfunding site Indiegogo comes to fruition. Marlin 1 is a conceptual folding catamaran to which you can attach a bike and pedal for propulsion.
Kind of like an aqua turbo trainer then, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I highly recommend you take a look and watch the video on their site, if nothing else for the hilarious English dubbing of the inventor Viktor Polyakov.
Yeah, now I can't help but think why they didn't use a more economical bike for actually the purpose of this video, because that's probably a 10 grand bike, isn't it?
Well, it is only a sort of concept bike, but still, I'm not sure how I'd feel about taking my super bike and exposing it to salt water out on the high seas.
Yeah, I think you'd have to cover the whole bike in marine grease, wouldn't you, first of all, to try and resist it. But knowing us, we'd probably capsize it immediately, and there we were, you know. Bottom of the ocean somewhere, pedalling away.
We're seeing more and more introductions of artificial intelligence in all forms of life. And this got us thinking, can tech be used to make cycling safer in the future?
Yeah, now, currently there are loads of different things going on regarding bike-to-car communication, driverless cars, that kind of thing. And whilst none of them are actually officially released as of yet, well, developments are still going on in the back room, aren't they, to try and release them to the mainstream.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be high-tech. What about solving an issue which affects hundreds and hundreds of cyclists all throughout the world every year that's relatively simple? So, for example, Tram Tracks pose a very real hazard to lots of cyclists.
Now, the District Department of Transport in Washington, DC is said to be looking into ways to make tram tracks safer for cyclists following the tragic death of a cyclist earlier this year.
Mark Habib, 19, was sadly killed when his bike got caught in tram tracks and he was subsequently hit by a bus in Washington, DC on June the 23rd. Now, following this, the Washington DC District Department of Transportation has said that it's committed to evaluating and testing different products which may make tram tracks safer to cyclists.
Yeah, and now this isn't an isolated incident. There are many, many cases all over the world, and trials in different cities have actually been done to try and combat it. So one such method is to actually put some rubber strips inside of the recesses of these tram or train tracks. And essentially your bike and yourself aren't heavy enough to depress the rubber, but a streetcar or tram is, meaning that really you've got quite safe cycling with that.
That's right, this was actually tested in Amsterdam. There was a station that they closed, and then for a 90-metre section, they fitted these rubber inserts. But although it was only 90 metres, it did cost €334,000, so the cost could be an issue.
Yeah, I guess as more and more tram tracks had it implemented or put in place, then the cost would come down. But I mean, that is a lot of money, isn't it? And let's face it, you don't need to have the whole network covered in rubber, do you?
Yeah, I guess there's certain areas where the cyclists are going to need it more than other areas. So key junctions or intersections where cyclists are crossing tram tracks and things like that. So yeah, I guess you don't need it everywhere.
Yeah. Now I remember as well, actually, when I lived in Antwerp, that the city's rental bike scheme actually had tyres that were purposefully made wider than tram tracks. So you could actually ride along and try and get inside them, and you couldn't. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I didn't believe it at first. I went out and tried it, and yeah, luckily I didn't actually go inside those tram tracks. But you know, I see a total and utter need for this.
That is a good solution, but obviously that only helps if you're using wide tyres, and many people will be using their own bike or a road bike with narrow tyres, and then there's still a problem.
Yeah, so let's hope that this can get put in place. Now, a concept which has come to light is this from Dahir Insat, which is quite a bit more advanced than those rubber strips inside of tram tracks, and I'm not sure if it would ease congestion or not. And personally, I don't think I would like to cycle in amongst all of that.
Yeah, it looks a bit scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty cool, but I dread to think how much it costs. If those rubber inserts are costing a fortune, then
yeah, that's
it looks like it'll be prohibitively expensive. Probably even see flying cars before we see that. But in all seriousness, the predictions are that by 2035, which isn't too far away, most cars on our roads will be driverless. Which
it's quite scary, that.
Yeah, or exciting. I mean, it might result in safer roads for everyone. But we would really like to hear from you about any high-tech or low-tech tech that's being used where you live to help improve the safety and infrastructure of cycling. So please get in contact.
Yeah, now, and to do that, you have to just look down there in the description below, and there's a link to our uploader. And in that, you can actually send through the pictures. And we want to see them from all corners of the globe, don't we? Because, you know, we've seen bridges built in certain towns and things like that to help cyclists. And we just want to know how you get around your cities. More tech later on.
Last week, Jon asked you, rather awkwardly, how many of you pimp your ride?
Do you pimp your ride?
And the good news is that 58% of you do. So we've got some of the pictures that you submitted.
That's right, we have indeed. And first up is this Luftfancyman from Jack, who's from Glastonbury in the UK. Some of you may know that from the big old music festival that's down there. Now, this bike was built at the Bicycle Academy in Frome. And apparently his brief was to build a super light, steel fillet brazed, road bike, and he wanted a sunny day bike. 7.4 kilograms. What do you reckon about that?
It's good for steel.
Yeah,
it's good.
I mean, that is bling, isn't it? I mean,
smart.
And that's custom. There's only one of those.
I like the way that the paint's on the seat post and the stem.
Yeah,
nice.
I like that. Other than it could get a scratch seat post. Anyway, this isn't a bike vault, but that's a custom bike, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's pimped out. It's nice. What about this one then?
Well, it's very red, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is Billy's bike from Redlands in California.
Maybe that's why it's so red, because it's from Redlands.
He says, just finished this new build, SRAM E-tap, hydraulic discs, rotor twin power with Q-rings, compact 5436 chain set on those Q-rings, and he's also got head wheels, a custom seat post decal, and a fancy KMC chain, which is red and black to match the sort of wheels and the bike frame, which is... It's a nice detail.
Yeah, I mean, that again, that's custom. It's specific to him, isn't it? I like that, Billy.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. I've not seen one of those before, but that's cool.
Yeah. And the final one we had sent in was this one, Cameron from London. It's the Sabello P2 SL. It's got dual race on it. I like that edition of dual race. That was a real smooth looking crankset. Dual race in 808s, had the frame for ages, loved it, wanted to make it fully their own, so he stripped it down, paint stripped it, primed and repainted it in gloss orange with some decals added to look more pro, including the name of the club that he used to ride for.
Nice.
It is, isn't it?
It's simple and smart.
Exactly. It's nice that.
Plus, that is a monster stem that he's got going on there.
Yeah,
it's
got to be like a 150 at least. And that just goes to show that to have a custom bike, you don't need to spend endless amounts of money, do you? Because, well, it's his old bike hanging around, just decides to repaint it.
It's cool.
Yeah. Fancy some new lightweight wheels? Well, British brand Hunt have just released some hill climb specific wheels. Now, hill climbing in the UK is quite a vibrant scene. It starts in about end of September time and lasts only a couple of months. And the gist of it is you're set off in 1 minute intervals and timed individually, and the fastest rider wins. And if you're into pain, well, it's your thing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I love the hill climb season. And these new wheels from Hunt are available only in a tubular version, which helps keep the weight down, and they're just 991 grams a pair, so really featherweight.
Yeah.
And they're designed to be optimised around a 23mm tyre, which is quite unusual for new wheels that are coming out, but as they're designed exclusively really for climbing, kind of makes sense because you don't need the wider contact patch always. But if you'd like to get a pair, then the price is pretty competitive as too, because they're £1,089 retail.
Yeah, just over £1 a gram. Now, for those of you out there who've ever had to buy new headset bearings, you know of the possible headaches that it can cause, both in terms of reliability and then actually finding the correct ones to fit your bike. Well, the good news is Chris King, them of legendary hubs, bottom brackets, and of course the headset, are just about to release a brand new drop set headset to the market.
Yeah, it's available in 9 different colours. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
And it comes with a 10-year warranty, which is also pretty good. But you just have to work out what size bearings you need for your bike.
Yeah.
But, I mean, have you ever had a bike longer than 10 years?
Now, I've had one for longer than 10 years, but I don't think I've ever used it for longer than 10 years. But imagine if you were one of those people who, oh, right, I bought this headset, it's got a 10-year warranty, I need a new frame. Now I've got to get one to fit this, you know, these dimensions of heads. Because some headset dimensions and bearings were only around for a really short period of time, weren't they?
That's a great warranty though for a headset bearing.
Yeah, because they're under
impressive.
Yeah, they're under a lot of abuse, headset bearings, aren't they? Now, Lawson Craddock, he turned a few heads at the Tour de France this year because, quite frankly, he had a brutal crash on stage 1. And almost immediately after the finish, he pledged that he would donate $100 after each stage he completed, and that money would go towards the Aclec velodrome, which was destroyed during a storm. Now, $2,100 later, because he completed the tour, plus the crowdfunding success of this meant $238,000 was raised towards that fund.
Yeah, because I mean, he thought that he probably would only be able to do a couple more stages after he crashed. It was that bad a crash. So the fact that he battled through was awesome. But now you can own a piece of Tour de France tech because Lawson Craddock is donating his bike that he rode in the Tour to an auction. So you can...
It's all smashed up though.
Yeah, we have to stress it's not the one that he crashed on. It's not a broken bike, but it is one of his Cannondale road bikes that he rode for more than half the tour and completed the tour on. So if you'd like to be involved with the auction, we'll post a link in the description below and you can click on that.
Get bidding. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Chris and Ollie spoke about a time trial legend, Marcin Biabolocki, who, quite frankly, has done some scarily fast times this season, and he's spoken to Velo UK and actually told them that he wants to attack the hour record.
Yeah, he did say, though, that him taking on the record would be dependent upon finding a sponsor to help with preparation, track time, equipment, travelling, and such alike. There's a lot of costs involved with doing the hour, but based on his results to date, you'd be hard pressed to bet against him, especially if he were to do the hour at altitude.
Yeah, now sticking with the hour record, there was an attempt a couple of weeks ago from Martin Toft Madsen of Denmark, and he set a distance of 53.619 kilometres, and that was at the velodrome of Aguas Calientes, which was sadly 900 metres short of the record set by Bradley Wiggins.
Yeah, so enough about that. We want the tech.
Yeah.
So Martin Toft Madsen was, meticulous in his preparation, and that included all the equipment he chose and his bike. So he's got a seriously cool bike.
And we couldn't remember it all, so we're going to have to read it off, aren't we? First up, an Argon 18 Electron Pro frame set.
Yeah, and then he's also got a special Argon handlebar on there as well.
WHR, World Hour Record, do you think that stands for?
That's what it is.
I reckon
Yeah,
it stands
they've helped
for
him
that,
out with that.
Now, Walker Brother, Ethereal disc wheels.
Ethereal.
Ethereal, there we are. I can't say it.
So they've actually been optimised to feature a slightly wider tyre than has been found on many track wheels in the past, because the lower rolling resistance associated with wider tyres is actually something that's we're starting to see on the track now as well, whereas it was just road. But
yeah. Dash Cycles saddle and seat post. Now that's an unusual choice, isn't it? Because that's one of those split saddles, isn't it? So
yeah, well, quite a few riders favour the split saddles now, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of the ISM saddles are very popular, especially with track riders and time trialists. He's also gone for an SRM for power measurement.
Yeah.
As well.
Of course, he can't look at it, can he, when he's riding in the hour record?
No.
You have to have it tucked away, the actual power, the display unit.
That's
somewhere.
a key thing to bear in mind with the hour record, is that computers are not allowed on the track as per UCI track rules. So you can have it hidden away inside you or under
Yeah. Not actually inside of you, but you know what we mean.
or under your saddles are commonplace.
Also, ceramic speed bearings and UFO treated chain. So
all about the marginal gains
all
there.
about saving a couple of watts here and there. Capstein chain rings and cogs, which from my belief that basically that's designed in such a way to work really, really well with that UFO treated chain. So better integration.
Yeah, the small marginal gains that can be made in drivetrain efficiency by picking little components like that. But every little watt counts in this situation. So we do it.
A pair of aero gloves from Grip Grab. Of course, those your hands being out there in front of you, they're hitting the wind almost first, aren't they? So important to smooth that air. A skin suit from his team Human Speed, made by Castelli. That looked mega thin on the photos, didn't it?
Pretty interesting. Probably, we guess, might be optimised for his target speed as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, who knows?
But also, he was wearing his favourite pair of shoes, which were sort of, by his own words, a battered pair of Bont Zeros. I guess it's important to be comfortable, but also something to factor in is that you can't actually have shoe covers on the track.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
So you can't cover your shoes up. So maybe there's an aero advantage to be had from certain shoes over others.
Because they have a flap, don't they, over them? Yeah, Bonts. So yeah.
So with all this in mind, it makes you wonder how many watts can be saved by having all this aero trick setup.
Yeah.
And that's pretty interesting. So you've also got to factor in that Madsen's record attempt was at altitude, and so that means the air density is typically far lower. So when he actually did his attempt, the air density was 0.943 kilograms per meters cubed, which is far lower than what you'd experience typically in sea level where we are right now. And as a result, his target power output to break the hour record by Bradley Wiggins was just 310 watts that he worked out that he would have to average to break the record.
That's really low, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
surprisingly
surprisingly
low.
Now, before you all think, I could do that, that's easy.
Go on then.
You've got to remember that there's a couple of things to bear in mind. So getting the power out in an aero position takes a lot of training, as I've found myself in the past. But also, being at altitude, the partial pressure is lower. So it's a trade-off, because although the proportion of oxygen in the air is the same, 21%, the air is less dense, so it means that you can't get as much oxygen in. So your power output can be lower. It's a bit of a strange one. Not everyone suffers from it, but it can be. So you can experience a power drop-off at altitude. It's now time for the Wall of Fame. And last week we had the very colourful Michelin axial tyres. So this week we've got something that would be perfect for pairing those tyres with.
That's right. This week it's the Campagnolo Shimao wheels. So they were launched back in 1993 and they turned heads literally everywhere they went. They were used by both sprinters and climbers. That's how fast they were. And get this, they were developed with the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics.
The shiny silver wheels had a very discreet logo initially, and they also featured an incredibly low spoke count, just 16 spokes, front and rear, and hidden nipples as well, which presumably helped a little bit with aerodynamics.
Yeah.
And the width was also quite narrow. So the tubular version was designed for around 18 to 20 millimeter tyres, whereas the clincher version was designed to be optimal with a 23 millimeter tyre, which is pretty, well, shows their age really when you compare to modern wheels, which are now designed 25, 28 mil tyres. So
yeah. I think that's amazing how much wheels have come on. Now, what was actually really impressive looking back is the weight, because at the time they did seem quite heavy, but they were actually under 1,900 grams for a pair, which, considering there was no carbon fibre in sight at all, well, you can understand why the climbers as well as the sprinters were using them. And basically, these wheels are one of the protagonists for the deep section wheel revolution that we have to this day. So, a more than worthy inclusion for the Wall of Fame.
You got a pair, haven't you?
I do actually. I've got a pair of track ones, and one of the spokes has just got a slight little kink in it. And no, they're not for sale. Can't go for the hour record on them.
Let us know your suggestions for future nominations in the comments section below. We always like to hear them.
Yeah, we love old tech. Bike of the week time, and last week we put heads ahead Kirsten Wild's Colnago V2R up against Alexander Kristoff's Colnago Concept in that flashy European Champs colourway. And the winner, with 69% of the votes, Alexander Kristoff.
Oh, nice concept.
That is a nice bike, isn't it?
So,
and it's not even a concept bike.
Yeah, weird that. Anyway.
Weird name.
This week, it's clash of the disc brake aero bike titans.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
We have Nicola Conci's Trek Madon disc.
Oh, beauty. Go on.
And we also have Joe Dombrowski's Cannondale System 6. Both bikes at the Tour of Utah now.
Do you know what? I don't know who I'm going to go for this week. I do actually. I'm going to go for the Trek. How about you?
I've already got a Trek Madon, so I'm going to go for the Dombros System 6.
Just let you know, mate, if it wins, doesn't mean you get the bike. So I know you've already got the Trek, but... Oh. All right. Anyway, it's not about us, is it? It's about the viewers.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he's really down now. Anyway, votes up there, top corner, which one you would go for. Next week, we will reveal the results and have two more head-to-head.
It's now time for the bike vault, and I'm really excited because this week I get to ring Jon's bell.
You can ring that bell anytime, Ollie. Right, so if you're unaware what the bike vault is, it's where you submit pictures of your pride and joy and we rate it either nice or super nice. And those super nice bikes get a ring of the good old-fashioned bell. First up then, this one is Adam from Antwerp in Belgium. This is his 1990s Eddie Merckx. It's got deader tubes, carbon bits to make it fancy as well. So it's retro but with a modern twist, if that makes sense.
I like it. Quill stem.
A quill stem. He's got a physique saddle on it. I mean, it's Campagnolo. It looks classy, that, doesn't it?
I really like this modern combined with retro vibe that's going on.
Yeah.
I want to see more of those.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
a super nice for me.
Super nice from me too. Oh, he's rung the bell. Right. Anyway, Alan from Singapore, Colnago Master X-Lite, Campy Super Record 11 speed, Veloflex gunwall tyres. I mean, the picture, in fairness to you, Alan, it's not taken in the best way, is it?
I think landscape mode would have been a better option.
Yeah, it would have been,
But
indeed.
I'll let you off.
I mean, it's a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a beauty. What do you reckon?
Very classic looking as well. Yeah. Do you know what? That's a sort of modern / retro thing going on there as well. Colnago Master, I think it's
Master X-Lite, it's got to be super nice,
isn't it?
Yeah. It was touch and go because of the portrait rather than landscape.
Yeah.
But Alan,
benefit of the doubt.
Right, next up, Gareth from Cheshire in the UK. It's a Pinarello Dogma F8. Dura-Ace 9150 Di2. He's got ceramic speed, oversized pulley wheel system, EE brakes, AX lightness wheels. Go on, tell the viewers what that weighs.
6.01 kilograms. That's incredible lightweight for a. I mean, the
asymmetric chain
they're
rings.
They're not the lightest bikes, those Pinarellos.
They're not.
So.
And we reckon we know where that is. Come on, let's face it. That's obvious where it is.
Anyone that's been to Mallorca knows that view, I'd say. It's a pretty famous view.
Yeah.
So.
There we are. It is nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know, I'm going to go with a nice on that.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to go with
because it has all of that, but it doesn't like jump out, does it?
No.
You know, it doesn't jump out.
It's a nice bike.
Yeah.
Nice
I think Gareth
bike.
from Cheshire, I think you're showing off a little bit with this one. But yeah, it's a nice bike, Gareth. Nice one. Right, here we go. Tim from Contic in Belgium. I wonder if he knows our friend who first of all sent in his picture of his Eddie Merckx. Contic is just outside of Antwerp, actually. So this is his Velo Build gravel racer, Ultegra Di2, DT Swiss wheels, which he says he built himself. That's my kind of gravel ride. Because basically you could do that on a road bike, couldn't you? You don't need a gravel bike for that. What do you think? Nice or super nice?
That's a nice bike.
Yeah, it's a nice bike, isn't it?
Nice bike.
Yeah. Oh, it's a nice bike. Tim from Contic, nice bike. Right, here we go. Ooh. Final one this week. Zihao, and this is at the Oban Youth Hostel, or Oban, I think it's pronounced, isn't it? In Scotland.
Oban, yeah.
Oban, yeah. This is Zihao's Genesis Zero. Now that is a real bike packing adventurer bike, isn't it?
It is, and I would love to go bike. I've actually looked into it about going bike packing in that area, around sort of up Oban and then around the Highlands of Scotland and
See,
Skye.
that's all right. So I like this bike because that is a normal road bike that's being used for bike packing. So they've not gone for the, gravel bike necessity.
Yeah, well, it's that thing. It's cool because it shows that you can adapt to what you've got, and bikes can be very versatile, and you don't need to go out and buy a whole brand new bike, which is encouraging for me because I don't have a gravel bike at the moment. So I want to give that a super nice.
Yeah, it's
how
nice.
Are you feeling about it?
It's a super nice, yeah.
Yeah. That is a super nice.
It just does something for me, even with all of those bags on it.
Yeah, dig it.
Cool. We went on about that bike for quite a while, didn't we?
Yeah, I like it.
Anyway, that is the end of the Bike Vault this week. And as ever, you can submit your photos to us using our brand new uploader tool. It's so good. We just send pictures to GMBN all the time of our bikes, so that just to annoy them, because they don't like road bikes over there. No, they do really. Anyway, if you want to know how to use it, click down there in the description below and you can submit us your photos. So there we are, nearly time for the end of the show. And I really don't like this point because, well, we stopped looking at bits of kit and, well, I just do that at my desk anyway. Anyway, what's coming up on the channel this week? Well, on Friday, we get to look at Dynamo hubs and what they are all about.
That's one of my videos, that. Yeah.
Oh, I'll make sure I watch that. Can't wait. Then on Saturday, Jakob Fuglsang's Argon 18 bike, and that one was custom painted for him. Make sure you don't miss it.
It's a tasty bike, that.
Yeah.
Then we have Maintenance Monday on Monday.
With me, back in here.
Yeah, and then Tech Clinic on Wednesday.
Yeah.
As well, so.
And as ever, remember to like and share this video with your friends. And if you want to dress like Ollie and I, what do they have to do, Ollie?
To the shop.
Yeah, shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, where we've got riding clothes, casual clothes, mini tools, beer tools to open up your beer. There we are. I got it out. So just make sure you do all of that. And now...
Well, we need to check out the GCN community page on Facebook.
Yes, so make sure you take a good close look at that.
Yeah, we've got this community page on Facebook now because there's a huge amount of knowledge amongst all you guys, and what better place to share that? So if you have any questions on there, feel free to post them, and then hopefully all our collective wisdom will be able to help people answer things, and you can share pictures of your bike and your rides and anything on there.
Imagine that, solving cycling's problems, if there are any, in one easy manoeuvre.